gospel, light of the temple. Sword swing, killer live from the ghetto. The hood messenger, let them know hell's close. Black burial, the devil in a black cloak.
Yo, what is up? Welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast. I'm your host, Dave One, and this is episode number... Yo, Cam, what episode is this?
Episode 90.
Episode number 90. Man, okay, so we've been on a little hiatus here, man. We were... Cam was busy, and then I was busy, and then we were working out some logistics of our guest today, and so I went on vacation. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go enjoy the vacation. It's been a minute, right, Cam? It's been a minute since we actually had a podcast, but it was a good break. Cam needed a break. I needed a break. But if you caught our last podcast, it was with Byron Rogers, a solid dude, man, protector, executive, security, all that good stuff, veteran. Byron Rogers was a really good podcast, man, a really good dude. Matter of fact, we even booked him to come speak at our men's group at our church, Elevate. So shout out to Byron, man, for coming through. But today we got a great guest, man. I mean, a local guy. I mean, definitely a good guy. So, I got to put on a little bit of music to introduce this dude. So first of all, he's a family guy. He is a Forerunner guy. See, I'm a Forerunner guy, man. Those cars last forever. You know what? You see Toyotas, I don't care what anybody says, Toyotas, Forerunners, you see them in the Middle East, man, with guns on the back, man. They just jump in, getting thrashed in the desert. Cam got a Toyota too, man, little Tacoma. We're Forerunner Toyota people, man. So he's a Forerunner guy. He's a gun guy. He is a gun guy, man. I'm a big gun guy, so when I see him shooting, I'm like, yeah. I'm a little jealous of his AK for sure, no doubt. But definitely, he's a UFC fighter, lightweight division, 155er. He is an Inland Empire product. Give it up for Jalin, the Tarantula Turner. What's up, man?
What's going on?
Man, finally made it happen.
Yeah, we made it happen.
You've been on a busy schedule. Matter of fact, you gotta leave right after this, and you're headed to Vegas for your other hobby. I didn't mention it, but skateboarding, right? You're doing the street league thing, right?
Yeah.
Dang, man. So how does a brother your size become a skater, man? I see you doing kickflips and everything on the gram, man.
Man, growing up in the IE, it was like you didn't have much outlets to do. It was like everybody's like, like playing sports or in the gangs or like, doing, just doing something wild, So I got into skateboarding early on. I was like super young, kind of like straight away, and just was like in and out of it. I was always into just odd things, I was into like animals, like like brothers wasn't into animals and skateboarding, I was just like I just found interest in those things. So, I just stuck with it. I used to want to be like a pro skateboarder, but like, it ended up not happening to me. I didn't get that. I didn't get good enough, first of all. And I had a fear of heights, so I was like, I'm not jumping off any 20 stairs, I'm cool on that. And I had a girlfriend messed up my whole skating like dreams and aspects, and I just kind of just straight away and just ventured off, faded. But I always had a love for skateboarding.
I think skateboarding to me, man, some of the toughest dudes are skaters.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I tried skating when I was young. It was fun, man. But when I would try to jump off a little mini ramp or do little tricks, I wasn't about the falling down, man. and that's part. I mean, it's like fighting, man. I mean, you got to be willing to get jacked up to be a good skater, right?
You have to. I broke my arm. I broke my fingers. I broke my I broke so many things skateboarding. Messed up ankles, like. And I just, even when I started fighting, I was like, my shins were just getting conditioned to fight. Like when I was skateboarding, having the board hit my shins all the time, like, what was it?
Yeah, you gotta be tough. Yeah, we've got a few skaters on. Brian Sumner. We've been working on Christian Asoy for a few years to get him out here. The classic skaters, right? The old school dudes. What's your skateboard of choice? You got a brand? Or can you say a brand because maybe you're looking for a sponsor?
Shoot, honestly, I've always loved Zero. Zero's like one of my favorite, like
classic.
Yeah, Zero. Girl was so dope.
Yeah.
Girl was one of my favorites. I think those are like my favorite decks. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, those two. I can't even think of anything else at this moment. Those are two.
Those
I
are-
had some Bakers. I
Bakers,
skated
yeah.
Bakers, yeah, a little bit. So whenever I got like a board that wasn't a blank, I was happy. You know, like,
Yeah.
it just like it was just hyped for me.
It's pretty cool. I think skating is. I always say it's two things. Like with when you grow up in the hood, one, it's an inexpensive sport. I mean, you get unless you break your board all the time. But them trucks, the wheels usually last you a long time. The deck, sometimes it would be, depending on how hard you skate. Yeah. And then it's something you can do by yourself, right? Like a team sport, you need an extra guy or you need somebody to play with you or something like that. But skating, you just grab your board, you go skating, right?
Yep, you just go off, do your own thing. Yeah, if you end up meeting people through just doing your own thing,
right.
Like just skating around the city, like you see somebody skating, oh, hey, what's up? Everybody's usually cool in the skate round, Like you could tell like who's not, and you just stay away from them. So.
Yeah, I think it's multicultural. It's a multicultural sport. Like if it's very accepting right away. If, you in the club, if you got a board, like come on, you can skate, you can do an ollie. You're in the crew. So yep. I think it's a dope sport. So IE, man, growing up in Fontana.
Yeah, I grew up in Fontana, like until I was like 13, and then we moved to San Bernardino, and then like I lived in San Bernardino for a while, but I was still going to school in Fontana, so that's why I just say just Fontana off the gate because like I went to high school out there. So,
and it's rough.
Yeah, both areas. I was on the south side of Fontana.
Yeah, you moved from Fontana to the Dino, man. It gets it's like it's like I always say, you got Fontana, then it gets a little rough when you hit the Rialto and the Colton area. But you go from Fontana to San Bernardino, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. But I have family in San Bernardino, so I was always going out there anyway. A lot of like the mischievous bad things I did happen in San Bernardino when I was young anyway. I got it out of my system. Yeah.
I think you come off as a super nice guy, like friendly guy. And how do you coincide that friendly guy with the Dino or Fontana or even fighting? You know what I mean? Like, where does the mean streak come from when you have to fight? And do you have that mean streak somewhere in there?
Yeah, I got a real mean streak. I would honestly dang, that's a pretty intricate answer. So, like growing up, I was always had like frustration issues. I would get like super frustrated, and then it was like there wasn't no outlet for it. Like I was still skateboarding, but I didn't really have like a true like outlet. So like things would make me really mad. But I was also like just this super like nice, easygoing, chill kid. Like I wasn't bothered by much, So like it was like a weird little balance for me. And then I had a cousin that lived in San Bernardino, so like we would do all our bad stuff, like anything bad, like we're doing like dumb stuff. Like I don't even want to really like speak on it, like just just doing dumb stuff.
Right.
And I remember I was, I don't know who, some like kid was like messing with her or whatever, and like she had called me, and then we fought, and then the kid like he got the best of me. I was like, dang, and it made me mad. But we shook hands after. It was cool, but I was like, dang, like it just like really bothered me. And I think that was one of the times where I actually like can think back and significantly be like, dang, I want to learn how to fight, But it just like never stuck. It was just like in the back of my head. So I was like, whatever.
Did you do other sports?
Yeah, I did basketball in middle school. I wasn't good. I did not like basketball. My mom wanted me to be a basketball star so bad, and I was like,
it wasn't your thing.
It wasn't me.
Yeah,
like it was cool, like being on the team with everybody. Like they're all my friends, but it wasn't me. Like I didn't have a passion for it. I tried out for football. Didn't make the team. Like I didn't like the sports where everybody was just like a-holes. You know what I mean?
Ah, yeah. See,
like track was cool, but the older like the varsity dudes were It was like, I didn't like that, And then finally when I stumbled into the wrestling room, it just invigorated me. Like, it was awesome. Like, everybody was cool. Everybody was welcoming. Everybody was trying to learn and get better. Everybody was grinding. Like, that's what really, like, sparked my love for, like, MMA and interest in anything, But, yeah, I completely got off topic of the question.
No, it's all good.
Just started reminiscing.
No, it's all good. I mean, yeah, we get back to that one. But I think when you get into, I think people probably pigeonhole you. 6'3", he should hoop. He should be a hooper, or he should be a receiver. 6'3", Randy Moss. Here this guy's gonna be good. I think they always try to pigeonhole you. But I think I think with MMA, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, like when you meet those guys, I think there's a stigma, like they're like every other athlete. But there's something about those sports where there's like a mutual combat, like respect, right? Because you're battling this dude every day, or you're going against somebody every day, and whether you win or lose, there's like a respect of, okay, well, great round, shake hands, and we're good, right? I mean, I think that's the difference between a lot of sports, and I think people have a stigma on those fighting sports where they think like, oh, everybody just thinks they're a badass and they're just gonna kick your butt, but it's totally different than that, right?
Yeah, completely different. I think that's more so like from boxers.
Yeah,
you get around like high level boxers, like there's humble ones, but most of the time they're not humble. You know what I mean? Like, and I've just even experienced that from going to boxing gyms. Like early on as an amateur, like I was this MMA fighter coming in, and I was like sparring these like Golden Gloves champion boxers, and like I was giving them a run for their money, and like they'd be upset. I was like, dang, like, I'm just trying to get work, dude. Like,
yeah, chill.
So I just try to stay around like humble people in general, like humble areas. Like I don't mesh well with that.
Yeah. When did you decide that MMA was for you, that you were going to pursue that?
Man, so that's another story in itself. It was my senior year of high school. I had started like training in my backyard. I had like a couch in my backyard. I used that as like a punching bag, and I was like, man, like I want to fight, like I want to do it. I didn't know what I was going to do after high school. I didn't have any college aspirations, college goals. Like I had things that were like kind of in the back of my head, but nothing ever really stuck. I was going through like a tough time with my mom, so she was like, "You're gonna go to the military. You're gonna go to the Marines." Like, she wanted me out, so I was like, "Dang, I gotta figure something out," So I just started training. I was like, that's all I knew. That's all I was like passionate about at that time. Like it just came out of nowhere, and it was like right before graduation. I think it was around March. This local gym called Adrenaline had a fight team tryout. And I went on Facebook. To go delete my Facebook account because I got a bad breakup with my girlfriend. And that's the first thing I seen when I opened up that Facebook app, Fight Team Tryout. And I was like, that's a sign from God. So I was like, Mom, I want to go to this Fight Team Trial. Like, I'm gonna do this. Like, and ended up going. Long story short, I ended up going, and I just started fighting since. I was 2013.
And did you have any experience other than backyard and high school wrestling?
I wrestled not even a full season.
Wow.
And then I was just doing all that stuff in my backyard on my own. I was watching videos, watching Shane Faison, Quan Caker, Anderson Silva, and just trying to learn on my own. Literally, like most of the stuff that I've accomplished, like especially striking wise, like I learned on my own until I started getting around like strategic coaches. Like Adam Rothweiler helped me a lot in the beginning. And then Gonzalez like fine-tuned some stuff, and then that was it. But most of it was just all me.
So when you went to try out, what did they make you do?
Oh, that was like the worst thing in my life. They made me run. We ran, I think like 4 or 5 miles as a warm up. Then we did wrestling rounds. Then we did jiu-jitsu rounds. Then we sparred, and then we had to do this conditioning circuit, and like they're like, if you stop, you're out. Like everybody was like, oh man, yeah, dude. I was like, I ended up making it though. I almost died, but I ended up making it. It was probably, I think that was the hardest. I thought the wrestling Hell Week was really hard.
Yeah.
But that fight team trial was a little bit harder than that.
Oof.
So I was like, sheesh. But yeah, they called me back. I made the team. They gave me a free tuition to go train there. They threw me my first fight like 3 months later. I had like no ground experience. I almost knocked the dude out with a head kick, and he just out grappled me. So I was like, dang. But I lost my first fight, and I was like, I want to do this. You know, I just knew I wanted to do it. So just been doing it since.
So where does the fighting in you come from, man? Is it now that you made the team? What was your motivation? Was it your mom saying you're going to join the military? Was it you wanted to make this a job? Because a lot of people have aspirations, but when they get hit, you know, it's a whole different story.
I think I just had nothing else.
That's it.
I had nothing else. The motivation was the breakup. And then, you know, my mom didn't want me to fight. Like, she was already, like, kind of, like, throwing it. And I was like, that was even more motivated. I just used all the negative motivation negative energy that was around me to just fuel me, you know. So, and then at the end of the day, I didn't know what else I would do. I still, like, to this day, I'm like, what else would I do if I don't fight? I don't know.
That's crazy, man. I think the motivation, I mean, you hear a lot of athletes say that. I had nothing. This is all I have. Either I make it or I'm gonna make it because there ain't nothing left. Was that your mentality?
Literally, exactly that. My mom was always like, you need to have a plan B. She's always been like a plan B, like kind of like worried about if something doesn't work out kind of person. And like that's just not me. I'm like if I do think I need a plan B, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like I want to be like 100% in on something because I think Denzel. How did Denzel say it in his speech? He's like, if you have something to fall back on, if you want to fall back, you don't want to fall back. You want to fall forward running, and that's just something I've lived by.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I think when you set yourself up with a plan B, sometimes it's good. Everybody talks about it, but sometimes when you have that mentality, well, if that doesn't work out, then I'm gonna go over here, and sometimes that attitude can lead to, you know, well, I have this backup plan. So you're not really focused on this plan because you have a way out. But when you don't have no way out, then you're super 100% focused on this plan.
Yep. Yeah. And, you know, at the end of the day, like looking back at it, I just have faith.
Yeah.
You know? Like I just had this blind faith that everything was going to work out. You know, even if it was hard, even if it was like not how I wanted it to, I just knew, you know, and like even before, like that was before I even had like my faith in God. Like I just felt like I'm gonna do this, you know. Like it was really deep, and yeah, man, I made it work. You know, I'm still here. It's not how I wanted it to be completely, but you know, I'm still fighting. I'm well off, and you know, I feel really blessed.
Yeah, I seen. It's funny because I was going through your record of fights, and there have been some struggles in some of your fights, some of the even to the point where you had no control. Like people, you know, you preparing for somebody, you know, they fall off or they can't make it. I saw a fight with one of your first big Noah Tillis, right? It's funny because I trained with him before. My cousin trains at his gym. That's how I know Noah. So I'm like, hey, like what the heck? So I was tripping on that. But then you had a big win against another local guy, IE guy, right? Bobby Green, where it was kind of, I was tripping out because you always had guys that didn't, you know, fell off or the fight didn't work out. And then here it was you. It was kind of the opposite. Like you filled the gap at the last minute and it ended up being like probably one of your biggest wins, you know, most exciting win, I think, for sure. Right. And so kind of the ups and downs of fighting is like, it's like skating, man. Like you don't land everything. You have the best intentions. And it doesn't always work out. I mean, they always say that saying, you know, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. How bad is it, man, for us mere mortals on this side, man? When you know,
honestly, usually it's not that bad. Like I think like the first time I ever like lost as a professional, like it really stung. But honestly, like this last loss, it was like the most. It was the most I've ever been down on myself. It's the most like I ever like man, like it took a big toll on me in so many ways. Like from how I was feeling to the people around me to, like testing my faith. Like it was just so much, man. Like that's why I kind of got off of social media. I kind of like disconnected from the world, like seeing how close I was to like victory, and then like not getting it, and then just like asking like God, why did this happen this way? And then like starting to see certain things unfold and like starting to see like the positives of it. And man, like that was the hardest loss I've ever had.
Yeah, man. So you hit Ronaldo, boom, crack him, he goes down. It looks like it's a done deal. He gets up and he gets you in that second round. What were you thinking? Like when you dropped him, did you? I mean, obviously when you hit somebody really, really well, right? Did you think like he's done?
I thought it was done, but it was honestly, man, like it was dude, like God like made my conscience kick in, like I was like I seen him get dropped by Fazeev, and then Fazeev like smashed him on like, and I was like, and then like the stoppage with Bobby Green, right. And people were tagging me in the interviews he was doing this week, talking about like man, like you can really get hurt in here, get messed up, you know what I mean? Like all of that was just in the back of my head, and like I didn't, even before the fight, like I just didn't mentally get to a point where I like turned it all completely off, I guess. So when I was in there, when he fell, when he went back, I was like, all right, that's it. Like, I'm thinking like, I don't want to follow up. I don't want to do any of that. And then like, hey, he got the better of me the next round, So it sucks that it happened that way, but that was it, man. And my conscience kicked in, Usually I can just completely shut everything off and not be bothered by anything, like just dead zone, And I also think like it is a part of me like coming into this faith, and not wanting to, like having to tap into a different zone where I don't feel like I'm trying to go like kill somebody. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I just want to go in there and perform. So
I've asked a lot of fight, like how do you turn that on? I've had military guys too. How do you to literally, have to kill somebody, like how do you, get past your faith and then get into, I'm gonna hammer fist this guy, 2 more punches to finish him, and so with the military guys, they say I'm getting rid of evil, and you can kind of say like, well, that's a righteous thing. With a fighter, I've had fighters say it's a job, you know what I mean, and I think like when I talked to Khalil Roundtree a little bit, right, we're friends, and he did that little T kick and busted that dude's knee in one fight, right? And he got a lot of flack for that, like, man, that was kind of like, and he's like, he's a nice guy too, and so he was like, man, like I was doing my job, like he's in here to kill me too, like, and so he took a little flack because he did destroy that guy's leg, but he was like, I was doing a regular move that John Jones, everybody does. I just happened to catch this guy really bad. And I said, man, it is what it is. You did your job. Don't feel bad. The guy gave you respect. It's done. But I think to turn it on sometimes and then have your faith, and like you said, I think that's the realest thing that anybody ever said, because it is true. If you're gonna have that little thing in the back of your head that says, hey man, like that's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's a fine line. It really is. It's a fine line. I'm just trying to figure it all out. I talked to Wonder Boy about it, and he told me that he was like, I just look at it as a sport. Like I'm not going in there to try to like do anything besides finish the sport. Like get my hand raised. I want to be he said he wants to be the best martial artist. And as a martial artist, you go test yourself. Like it's just a test of his skill. And I was like, that really opened my eyes, because I was telling him how I was feeling. Like I was like, man, I don't think I got too many more in me. And he spoke a lot of life into me. And he said, he was like that would be a tragedy if you feel that way right now. Like I think you have a lot of potential. And like hearing that from him, like made made me feel really good. And then I got another call from Lorenz Larkin, another IA guy.
Yeah,
so
man.
He
He's funny.
Yeah, he definitely he brought me out of that mindset too. He was like, stop, bro. Like, he's like, don't even think like that. He was like, you're too good. I
Yeah.
was like, dang. He was like, yeah, just keep at it. He said, just ignore all the hate and whatever everybody else has to say, but keep going.
And Loren's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Has some tough losses under his belt too, where I felt like he should have won, and Wonder Boy too. I mean, he's had some tough losses, but those guys keep fighting. I mean, they've been fighting a long time, and so to hear them give you some encouragement, that's good. Listen, man, from me to you, I know I'm a mere mortal when it comes to this, but when I see you fight in all your talents, your length, all that stuff, I potentially see you a champ in that tough division, because I think you have tools that a lot of these dudes don't have. But I do think you do get people, once again, the mere mortals on the gram that talk a lot of trash. Oh, well, he doesn't have the killer instinct, or he doesn't have that mean streak in him. And I think you do get backlash for being a nice guy. I don't think that's necessarily a wrong thing. Wonder Boy is definitely a nice guy. Khalil Roundtree, out of the ring, definitely a nice guy. In the ring, both those guys are killers, right? But I feel like all the tools are there. I really do, man. And so, it would be a travesty if you gave up this sport right now, man. Plus, you have no plan B, man. What are you gonna do? There is no plan B, man. There ain't nothing for you. You're a decent skater, man. You ain't that great, and if you maybe a shooter, maybe, I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like you have the tools. Like when I see you fight, like from the beginning, I was like, this dude representing Fontana, he's an IE dude, SoCal guy. I'm like, he's got to have some toughness in him for sure. So man, I really feel like you have the potential to be a champ, man. To honestly, bro. I mean, it's there. Like everybody sees the tools and it's like, yeah, this guy has the tools. If he, I don't know, we need to get you a little bit more angry before a fight or something. Somebody needs to talk about your mom before the fight or something to get you going, man. Something, man. You know what I mean? Scratch your forerunner or something to get you so angry. But I think that's, I mean, it's just me. Is that where you're at? I mean, what do you think?
Are
you still trying to figure it out?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure things out. I'm gonna fight again for sure. I'm gonna stick at it. Like you said, I ain't got nothing else to do. I don't know what else to do. Until God opens the doors to another avenue, like I'm gonna keep at this for now. I got a lot of reassurance and a lot of signs to keep doing it. So yeah, man, I'm gonna just take my time. I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna go train with my coach out in Dubai for an extended period of time. Honestly, I just want to just fine tune everything, like with this time off, So when I come back, I just feel good and I feel like I'm hungry again. I'm ready to like fight again. Like I got the spark, and like these dudes that I shouldn't be losing to, I'm not gonna lose to.
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, it's just. For me, it's like it's not like trying to get angry or upset or like I just want to get my skills to a point where like I'm not gonna lose on my worst day, on their best day.
In fighting, how much is it? What would you say the percentage to physical and mental?
I would say 70%, 70% mental and 30% physical.
How do you prepare for that though? How do you get that mental going when you're leading up to a fight? Obviously you probably push everybody out of the way and try to stay focused on your training, but how do you prepare?
Yeah, man, it's honestly like staying focused is like the hardest thing because you gotta, you still gotta live a normal life.
Yeah.
You still gotta live. You gotta be a human. So. I've talked to a psychiatrist for the last year, and he just told me like, just focus on what you can control, and that's how I like kind of keep my mindset pretty solid. Like just day by day, step by step, like do what I can do to control what I can control right now, and then it'll like facilitate everything for the future. Like when that moment does come, instead of like always having my mind like, okay, I gotta fight, I gotta do this. You know what I mean? Like I already know that's gonna be the outcome. I have to fight at the end of the day. So what am I doing right now in this moment that I can control that'll make the outcome of that better? And that's helped my mental a lot, you know. So
I love how vulnerable you are, man. I love it, man, because a lot of fighters, a lot of men, period, you know, they're not vulnerable in saying, yeah, you know, there is a lot of ups and downs in life. Yeah, I seen a psychiatrist. I got a little help. Yeah, I reached out to a couple other fighters. They helped me out. They encouraged me. Like, men need that. You know what I mean? It's men bottle things up and try to hide things, and then it explodes in the wrong way. But to say, you know, I got some guys that I can go to. I'm getting professional help a little bit. I do battle a little bit. I think if more men admitted that or seek that help, I think we would be better off overall as men, fathers, husbands, you know, brothers in the Lord, all that.
I completely agree, you know, and I've actually been one of those people that just bottles everything up and just explodes, and I've seen the effects it's had on people around me, and there's no point. I like being an open book. I like being vulnerable to that sense. Like, I like letting people know, like, hey, like, I've struggled. Like, this last fight mentally destroyed me. You know what I mean? I really got to a low point in my life. Like, I got really low. You know, I had to talk to people. You know, I was feeling depressed. You know, I was feeling depression, and I haven't felt that in years. And, you know, it had an effect on the people around me. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's real, you know? And, like, I'm not saying it like, you know, I don't need any validation. You know, it's just something I went through. You know, everybody goes through their own things, their own ways. Like, everybody feels their own way. You know, like, for some men, like, they don't want to talk to nobody. Like, if they cope with that and they actually can internalize things and process that properly, that's them, you know. But for me, you know, I just seen the effect that it had on other people, and I've learned from my past and how I've lashed out and how it's changed me into a worse person holding things in so much, you know. And I did seek help because I was really thinking about like stopping and quitting fighting, you know. Like, I didn't know what my next life move was. I was going through it mentally, you know what I mean? I just lost on, like, the biggest event I've ever been a part of, you know what I mean? In a fight that, like, I definitely feel like I win, like, 10 out of 10 times, you know what I mean? Like, so it bothered me a lot. Like, it was really hectic and heavy. So, like, you know, if I didn't talk to people, I'd be, you know, like, a lot worse off, you know, man? Like, I was really, like, I had some dark thoughts, and it was bad, you know, so. Thank God I got pulled out of it. You know, I had a lot of prayer. And, like, even before, like, it was just such a test of faith because I had so many people praying for me. Like, whole church was praying for me, like, close friends, like, family. And, man, like, to go out there and have that happen, like, man, it really, like, it bothered me. It tested my faith. And, like, just so many spiritual attacks after that. And I was like, you know what? Like, God has my back, you know? So, yeah, I hit rock bottom, and now I'm just climbing my way back up. You know, like, that's another reason why I didn't want to, like, talk or, like, do podcasts or anything. Like, I was still trying to figure out getting my way back, you know, being normal again, like, processing life and dealing with the comments on Instagram or whatever people had to say. You know, it's like,
That's the worst.
yeah, it's the worst. And, you know, like, I don't like the feeling of letting anybody down. So I feel like I let, like, first off, my core people down, and then all these people, like, I know they're just saying all that stuff, projecting because I let them down their parlays or whatever, you know. It's just like, it was a lot, you know what I mean? Like,
You're like, man, what about my parlay?
Exactly.
I would have had the bonus right there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That was heavy, bro. I felt for you right away, you know, like I seen the fight and I was like, dang, like, you know, and I was like, well, you know, after that first round, I was like, oh, he had that round, you know, that I thought about the bonus. I thought about you, your family. It's a lot of pressure to, you know, even your church. You don't want to let people in your church. You like, when people say they're praying for you, like, you're like, man, like, okay, cool, man. These people are, like, looking out for me. I want to help. I want to do good for them, you know. So there was a lot of pressure, man. But I'm glad to see you, you know, back on your feet, because I know you went off the ground for a little bit. I even told Taco God, I was like, hey, man, what happened with Jalin? Like, is he off the gram? And then he checked, and he's like, yeah, he's probably having a rough time, man. I said, I think so too. I'll just wait. Hopefully everything be cool. He'll come back. But yeah, sometimes it's like you get the gram people, man, and even in your best intentions, they find something wrong. You know what I mean? You can do everything right, man. You can go feed 100 people, you know, and give 100 kids skateboards, and they'll say, you know, you gave them the wrong skateboard, or you should have fed them this. I mean, there's always something that you can't satisfy, and to try to say, you know what, forget all that. I'm gonna do what I'm called to do. I mean, you just gotta. But it is hard. I mean, your magnifying glass is a lot bigger than, you know, everybody else's.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, it was mainly because, like, I usually just turn all that stuff off. I can ignore it easily, but it had so much effect because there was so much more negative energy on me. And honestly, like I was saying, like, even through all that, like, even when I did, like, disconnect from the gram, like, a lot of, like, positive things happened. You know, I got engaged. You know, everything was good. Like, that wouldn't have happened. Like, she was gonna fly back home right after the fight had I won, but, like, you know, since I was, like, going through it so bad, she ended up staying. Like, we, like, spent some time, and then, like, I was just, like, a moment happened, and I proposed, you know. I was like, wow, like, it's been, you know, it's been good. So
some good things are happening.
Yeah.
I think life continues. You know, life moves on. We end up doing what we have to do. We end up working on those things, and God provides us some. It's weird, man. You go through the hardship, and then, like, some good things happen, and you're, like, reminded, like, okay, you know, it happened. I got to keep going. Life still moves, and you got to keep moving.
Yep, exactly.
You know, but so how do you balance family, fighting? I mean, it's got to be rough, man, because especially when you're getting ready for a fight, man.
Yeah, it is right. Man, finding that balance is pretty hard. I honestly, you know, like when I am getting ready for a fight, like, I don't have as much time for my kids, you know, like, I'm, like, trying to train in the gym, so, like, the time I get them, I do try to, like, focus in a lot, but more so it's the time off. Like, when I'm not fighting, I give them, like, so much of my attention. It's like I'm with them, like, 24/7. Like, if I go to the gym, I take them with me. Like, even if I'm getting ready for a fight, like, I take them with me. That's the one thing I love about being a fighter. Like the career I have. Like, I could take them with me everywhere I go. They're homeschooled, so, like, they go with me. We do the work after, you know, and it's good. Like, I get, like, a good connection with them, and, you know, I'm really involved with them in their life. So, yeah, the only thing, like I said, like, it's just not giving them that undevoted attention when I'm getting ready for a fight is, like, the hard part. You know, sometimes, like, even if they go with me to the gym, like, I only really give them the attention, like, before bed. You know, we get to do their schoolwork, and then they're off to bed. You know, it's like, dang.
Do they know what you do, and do they know that daddy gets hurt?
Yeah,
and hurts people.
Yeah, they know. They watched a few fights, and.
What's their reaction? Are they nervous for you? Are they scared? Are they like, why are you getting hit?
Yeah, they've been. Yeah, my son's been upset. He was upset about a fight. I think it was when I fought Dan. He was upset. He was like, yeah, like, that was a hard fight. I couldn't watch, and I was like, dang. And then he was, like, a little bit nervous before I fought Bobby, but I told him, like, oh, it's all good. Like, we're okay. Like, it'll be good. And then he was all happy when I fought Bobby. And then, like, I don't know if they watched this last one and they were okay.
Yeah.
You know, like, they didn't say anything. Like, daughter was cool. She just kept saying, like, how do you feel? Is your eye hurt because you lost? I was like, oh, don't say that. I was like, oh, don't say that. Yeah, but it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all who matters, right? Mm-hmm. You know, your family. You know?
And that was a part of the disconnect too. You know, I was just spending time with my fiance, the kids, like, and that was it. You know, I just really, like, just focused in on what was really important. You know, like, besides, like, social media, like, the people that, like, I can really, like, affect and who affect me. You know, so
right.
Everything else was just I just had to make that, like, just wind in the back of my ear. You know what I mean? I had to just forget about it and disconnect. So, yeah.
And how did you find the Lord, man? I started watching your posts in church, lifting up the Lord, man, and some posts that you posted. I was like, okay, Jalin, let's go. Did you always know him, or did you just come back to him, or how did that all transpire?
You know, I'll tell the whole story. So, My mom, like, I was raised in church. I grew up in church. Grew up in a church. It was Fontana Church of Christ in Church of Christ in Fontana. Grew up there. Ended up getting baptized when I was young. I was too young to get baptized. I hated the church. I hated it. Everybody that was in that church, like, there was a couple good people, but a lot of they were embezzling money, like shady people. Like, the kids were mean. Like, I was like, Mom, like, why'd you bring me here? Like, I don't like any of this. Dude, I ran away from God. I ran away. Like, I was like, no. I was like, this isn't it. And then, you know, like, I started going through the process of why'd I go through this? Why'd I go through that? You know, just all the resentment. You know, I resented for a lot of years. And slowly I started to, like, open up spiritually. You know, I was like, oh, I see the spiritual wave. I was like, I believe in God. I'm agnostic. I don't believe in this, the X, Y, and Z. And the first person to really plant a seed was my buddy Nick. I grew up with him in Fontana. He was really good basketball player. He was on the basketball team. We ended up connecting again when I got to the UFC. He was like, hey, you're a UFC fighter. He's like, are you local? Like, you train here? Like, he just found me and we started talking. And we've been cool ever since. He's always been like really good Christian boy. Like, he's been super good. Like, I used to think he was Jesus himself, you know? Like, I was like, dang. So he started planting the seeds, like, and honestly, I was going through, like, just the roughest time, but I was really in the world, like, when he came, you know. I was like, cool, you know. I was like, I would hear him speak. Some, like, crazy, like, weird experience with God would happen. Like, somebody would tell me something. Somebody would mention God. So I was like, I called him. I was like, bro, like, why does it keep happening? And he was like, God wants a relationship with you. That was years ago. Wow. And I was like, all right, like, I hear that, but, like, I just, you know, just went about my way. And then my coach, Ozzy, came into my life. He started coaching me. Like, I've known him for like 8 years. And he started telling me about his religion, you know, like, you know, he's Muslim. And, like, a lot of it started, like, clicking for me. I was like, all right, like, that makes sense. Like, I have that view. Like, I understand that. And then, you know, another seed planted. And I was like, all right, like, something's working in me here. I'm starting to, like, get into it and get into the aspects. And then my fiance came into my life. Right after that Gamrot fight, we started talking, and, like, that was it. Like, that was, like, the water. That was the water on the seed, and I was like, wow. And she was, like, on fire, and I was like, what is this? Like, and I was like, where did you come from? Like, what is going on? And she, like, told me about Jesus, and, like, we talked about, and I was like, dang. I was like, that's intense. And then I just started just doing the work, you know, and reading the Bible. And took my buddy Nick's offer to go to his church, started going to his church. She took me to church when I was out with her. And, dude, I've just been on the wave since, man. And, yeah, she really like, did it. And I was like, God knew what he was doing. God knew it was like
brought her into your life for more than one reason. You know what I mean? Not for the relationship, but with the relationship with Christ, man.
Exactly. And I was like, and I would always ask him, like, because, like, we had to, like, stop talking for a period of time. And I was like, God, like, did she serve her purpose? Like, was that it? You know, like, was that all, like, she was meant to do? And I was like, and, like, I never got the answer. And then now we're engaged, you know? So it's been beautiful, you know? Like, I'm really thankful for her. You know, she really opened my eyes to the faith, you know? And, yeah, man, I wouldn't be here without her for sure. I never thought I'd be this way. I never thought I'd be, like, on a Jesus crave, you know? Like, I never thought I'd be like I'm that uncle that goes to church all the time, like, you know, trying to spread the gospel in some way, man. You know what I mean? I never thought, because, like, I had an uncle like that, and, like, all my family, like, say all this negative stuff about him. He's this, he's that. And, like, now I'm that uncle, you know? I'm like, whoa, it's wild. So it's cool, you know? I just want to represent the right way, you know? So, yeah, I went through so many trials with that, you know? Like, I really tried to test my faith and see if I was really about him or if I was just, like, fixated on her. And, like, no, like, I really, like, felt it. And I really felt his love, you know, his grace and his mercy, and I still feel it, you know. And like even when I went through this hard time with this fight, you know, like the devil was testing me like a lot, you know. I really, really reached the rock bottom, but I was like, I realized I'm on a solid foundation, you know. So it's been good. It's been good.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Elevate Ministries. Elevate Ministries is an authentic, passionate, and innovative church in the heart of Orange County, California. They strive to make their services welcoming and encouraging by intentionally engaging you in all senses to stimulate a spiritual hunger. If you're looking for a great church that's on a mission to change the world one person at a time, I encourage you to check them out at www.elevateministries.com and on Instagram at Elevate Ministries. Foundation, man, you know, it's like the Bible describes it like a house that's built, you know, on the rock, man. And the waves come and the wind blows, but it stays steady, man. Yeah. Sometimes when people, you know, they might have a nice house, but when the waves come and the wind blows, man, it just tumbles, man, because there's no strong foundation. But when you have the strong foundation, man, that's when, you know, things could happen and you're like, okay, God, let me get recalibrated here, you know, remember where you put me. And you always can go back to the Lord, man, for that strength, for that help, man. That's awesome. I like what you shared, though, man, when you said about church, because I think, especially when you're young and you get dragged to church, you know, you get dragged, and there is a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad experiences in church, and people get turned off. Young people get turned off right away from church, but somehow, some way, God kind of brings you back and lets you know that, hey, everybody's not like those people, and there are some good people out there, and it looks like God put some good people in your life, man, to kind of steer you right back in the right direction.
Definitely. They say, what's the saying? Blame the Christian, not Christ.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's hard, man. Me and Taco God, man, if you listen to those episodes, I mean, it's so crazy because it kind of went from, like, you know, we just talked about tacos and stuff. Then it went to like, hey, I was a little angry at the church. He said the same thing almost you say. I felt like I didn't fit in at church, and I was a bad guy at church, or I didn't fit the mold there. And then he said, but now he realizes, like, man, I need God. Mm-hmm. He says, like, it just happened one day. Like, I realized, like, what am I doing? I need God in my life. Like, there's no other way. And so, and once again, he'll tell you, he's like, through some hardship that he had, you know, through some things, through some prayers that he was asking. He's just like, there's no answer, but I gotta ask God for this, you know. And God answered his prayers, and he was in that whole mentality of people that make God look bad, right? We got removed. So it's good to hear that, man. It's definitely good to hear that. A couple other things that you do, man. Shooting.
I went shooting yesterday.
I saw the video. I was jealous, man. I was like, this dude. I mean, okay, so I saw the AK. I got an AK like right at the same time, right? I thought I was cool, and then I see your AK. I was like, man, Tarantula got his own AK. But how did you get into shooting, man?
Man, I shot my first gun with John Jones, actually.
Really?
Yeah, that was like 8 years ago.
Wow.
I was out in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and like all the boys from Jackson Wink were like, "Oh, we're gonna go out shooting." And I was like, "I've never shot a gun." It was like, "What?" So like we all took us out. The first gun I shot was a Glock. Now I remember. That's nice. My favorite gun. It's funny. Yeah, we all went out. We all went out like to some reserve land and just started shooting, dude. And ever since I was like sparked my interest. But you know, living in California, I was like, oh, man. I want to get a gun. And I was
I seen that comp mag. I know, I got one too. I was like, that's so stupid. I hate this thing.
Yeah, I was like, man. So, yeah, I ended up trying to get a gun from Turner's like in San Bernardino, and I was like, they're like, oh, you need this, and that. And I was like, oh, I didn't have none of that. So I was like, I don't have none of that in my name. So I was like, whatever. So I kind of like just forgot about it. I think I was like 20. It was like either before or after COVID, maybe before. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, oh, I got a car in my name. I got registration. Let me go get it. I went and got a gun. And then ever since, I've just been and shooting, trying to just get more stay more consistent on it. Like,
Right.
I try to do it every chance I get. Like, but I've always liked guns. Always, but not like super like fanatic-y into it. But like, I love guns.
Yeah, I think men need outlets, man. We need things. You got skating, you got fighting, you got guns, you got the Forerunner. Like, man. Did you have a black one before?
It was Rap Black.
Oh, it was Rap Black.
Yeah.
That's what it was, man. And I was like, man, me and Jalin on the same page right here. It's about Jesus, about guns, about Forerunners. I was like, okay, man. What do you think you need to improve on as a fighter?
Man, honestly, dude, the only thing I really need, it's the same story, and it bothers me because like I don't like. It's just the grappling. The grappling, and it's crazy because I feel like my grappling was so much better than what it was. Like this fight, like even when I fought Gamera, like I felt like my grappling was off, and then like this fight with Moicano, I felt like my grappling was off. I'm like, dang, like how the heck do I get my grappling on? You know what I mean? Like I feel like I roll on the mats. I go against black belts. Like, I can hold my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can get up when I need to. Like, I'm not stuck on the bottom. Like, I'm not usually the only person that really gets me stuck in positions is Thomas Cronin. And that dude's good. Like, he's legit. Like, I even trained with him a lot before this fight. You know, like he had the same frame as Moicano, but like twice the experience. You know, so yeah, man, it's just the grappling, dude. And I guess honestly, like locking in that mental edge. You know, I need to sit down and figure out how I'm gonna have the mental approach and not try to like think like I gotta go kill this guy. You know,
Yeah.
Like going there with that same intent without actually being like, all right, it's life or death. I gotta go kill him. Like knowing like we're gonna be okay after. So I don't know, man. It's all learning. It's all learning. I'm just
It is, right?
constantly learning.
It's constantly learning, right? If you stop learning in anything, right? In the word, skating, guns, shooting, whatever it may be, you're constantly learning something. If you're not learning, then you ain't going nowhere.
Yep.
I mean, so the grappling, you're a brown belt?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a purple belt. I'm working on my brown, man. It's gonna be, I changed gyms. So you know how that goes. When you change gyms, you almost started from the bottom again.
Oh, definitely.
I go to Checkmate now. But when I changed gyms, I was like, man, I was hesitant because I was pretty close to the brown. I changed gyms, and then there's monsters over here. So I'm like, well, it's gonna be a few more years till I get that brown for sure, because these dudes are smashing on me, man. But it's a different feeling, man. I think when you get around people that are helpful, that want to see you succeed, I think you have a good team around you. You got your fiance, you got your kids, you got your trainer, you got some good people around you. I'm sure your mom speaks life into you all the time too, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I haven't talked to my mom as of late.
You haven't talked to her? Oh, my bad.
We're kind of not on a good page. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I haven't like responded to like some of those things you said about the mom stuff. Like, nah.
You're just like, nah.
Yeah, that's another thing. That was another mental battle. Like after the fight, like she didn't check on me after the fight. Yeah, and it's like she was upset. She was upset. She was just upset. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to get too personal about it, but she was upset about some stuff, and it's like it didn't make sense to me. Like I understood it to an extent, but it just like it's like as a mother, like you should have put all that to the side and just been like, "Hey, son, are you okay?" I was like, "Dang!" Like she didn't do that. I was like, "Wow!" Like it really messed me up. And then she says some really hurtful stuff. And it's affected me. It's bothered me, and I tried to talk to her about it, and it just becomes such a spiral, and she just keeps bringing out this bad energy from me, and I'm just like, you know what? I'd just rather just not pay any attention, And it sucks, it's your mom. Like she's older, she got more years behind her than in front of her, but it's like in order for my life and everything for like that I have going on to be healthy, like I need her to like respect it and understand these things, or she can't be a part of it.
Wow, man, that's tough, man. That's a tough thing. You know what? I think family things are always the hardest thing.
It is, and especially like you're trying to honor your parents, like honor my mother, and it's like it's hard. It is, and
So when people look at Jalin on the gram, you know, they see you skating, see you living a good life, full runner, shooting, but they don't see that it's a lot of extra stuff. It's a lot of the mind battle of a win that was in your grasp, family things, a lot of changes, no plan B, which is could be positive, but you know they don't see all that. There's a lot that entails way beyond the gram.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on, and honestly, usually like if it didn't run this deep, I'd be on the gram talking about it, like, hey, like, you know, this happened, blah blah. Like, I'm super open. You know, I try to be as transparent with my audience as possible. You know, I go through stuff. Everybody goes through stuff. Like, life has ups and downs. I just haven't been ready to talk about it. You know, like, nobody wants to talk about like issues, like family issues. At the end of the day, you know, nobody wants to like. But it's like it happens. You know what I mean? Like, and if somebody gets some kind of like recognition or closure from hearing this, I hope that I inspired them. You know, like, go try to work things out. Like, go get help. Go talk to somebody. Like, don't hold everything in, and, you know, like, just stay true to your faith, even if you're not in the faith. You know, like, just do what you need to do to make sure you're secure and good mentally.
Man, dude, so good, man. So good, man. I mean, I can't. You know, Brad Taco God told me you were a great guy. He said he's a great guy, man. He's an open book. He's like he's fun. He's a good dude. He's a fight. He has all these great things, man. And we were talking about. You were like, he's gonna be champ, man. He's gonna be champ, even in that tough division, because it is when you look at I think you're number 12, right? I think, but you look at the guys that are ahead of you. There is some monsters in that division. Who would you like? I mean, not that you're calling them out, but a dream fight for you in that division.
Dang. I don't know. I don't have a dream fight.
Really?
I think my dream fight would be whoever has the belt, but that's more like for the belt, you know?
I got one. I would love to see you and Max.
Somebody just talked about that yesterday.
Dude,
that's funny.
I think
I would love that fight. Like,
right.
Max is cool. Like, every time I see him, it's all respectful. Yeah. But it would just be a really fun striking battle.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, everybody would love that. Like,
I was two guys. You know, Max, he's gonna tell you, he's gonna point at the center of the ring and say, let's go, right? So I was thinking about that today when I was looking at who was in that division, and I was like, yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, Gaethje good. Chandler, I already know what Chandler's gonna try to do. Jalin, you know what I mean? He's gonna be at his waist the whole time. You know what I said? Max, yes, Max and Jalin toe to toe, straight striking. It would. I think you would probably be one of the longest guys Max ever fought.
Definitely, yeah,
right?
I would be, yeah.
So I would love to see what he would do, and I know he would. You know, he would keep it standing the whole time, which would be fun.
Exactly,
right? I think, yeah, man. Let me. I'm gonna call Dana after you leave, man. I'm gonna try to work that out, dude, and see if we can put that together. You know, say, hey, man, look it, man. Jalin, you know, made a mistake on that last fight, man. Give him a break, but I got a good one for you, Dana. Let's put him with Max. You know what I mean?
I'd be down.
You'd be down.
Yeah, I'd be down. That fight would definitely get me excited. Had that been on the table, I'd have been in the gym right now. You know what I mean? If I knew about it, like
later for the podcast, man. I'm getting ready for Max.
Man, yeah, dude, it'd be so fun. Like, it would just be honestly, that would be such an honorable fight. Like, I would love that. You know, like, and it's not, you know, it's just like, dude, I've watched Max for years. Like, he's one of my favorites. And it's like not like in a disrespectful way. Like, they would just be honored to share the octagon with him. You know, and I know he would look at it that way too. So I'm not calling nobody out.
No, I know.
Like, it would just be a fun fight.
Yeah,
you know?
that's the thing with fighting, man. When two respectful guys, you know, get going at each other. Of course, you got disrespectful guys. Anybody been disrespectful to you? Like, because you're a nice guy, so I don't see you talking smack, you know, at the press conference doing any of that. But anybody ever been like unnecessarily disrespectful to you?
No,
that's good.
But I don't like the talkers.
Even with Bobby. See, I thought Bobby was gonna.
Bobby talked on the octagon.
Yeah,
that was it.
Okay.
But like, you know, like, I don't like the talkers, bro. Like, I don't like like no offense, like, but even like Moicano, like he didn't talk crap like years back. You know, like when he was fighting at featherweight, like he was really like humble, honorable, and like he was humble and honorable after the fight. But it's like, why get on the mic and do all this? Like,
Yeah, he
you
went.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just like that. Like that's what really like that's what bothers me too. It's like, dang, bro, like I lost to that. Like it's like, dang, man. Like it was a big like I said, it was a big learning lesson for me in every way, like inside and outside of the octagon. But
Is it hard to get in that UFC? Is it hard to get one back?
yeah.
Yeah, huh? Seems like it is, right?
Man, that would be my first like rematch. If I could do that, I want that rematch. I'll do it. Everybody I lost to in the UFC, I want to fight.
Dan.
I want to fight again. Oh, I would love that one again. Dan would be the funnest fight out of them all. But like everybody else would be more like, nah, like I know I got you. You know, like like I know I got you like 3 more times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like Dan would just be a fun fight.
Yeah.
Like, man, like, yeah, dude. I was going through it before that Dan fight. And nobody knows that. Nobody knows. I think I said it like maybe like one interview.
Yeah.
I was going through it mentally before that Dan fight a lot, you know? So.
And you're in a better place now, right?
Yeah.
How to handle things, how to deal with things. I think sometimes when you go through the mental things, sometimes it's I mean, because you still have to go through it, but it's the way you handle going through it. And when you get some help and somebody kind of guides you or gives you some advice, and hey, yeah, that's fine. Everybody goes through that, but this is how you have to go through it. It doesn't eliminate going through it. You still got to do it.
Exactly.
You still got to do the work, right?
Yep. You have to. Yeah, one of the things my psychiatrist says is like it's not about turning off the bad thoughts. It's about how quickly you can like let it go.
Yeah.
How quickly you can get over it. I'm like, all right, like recognize what your brain is doing, and let it go.
Right.
And honestly, I haven't been doing that too good. I need to focus on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think even I read this book one time, and it was a Christian book. The guy was talking about your thoughts, about controlling your thoughts. And the word says that how to control your heart. And the way he described it, it just made sense to me. He says like your thoughts are like floating clouds in the sky. They just float in. You don't invite them in, but they just float in and they sit there. And it's up to you to say, no, this is not a good thought, or no, that's not true, or like I'm gonna be okay. And I was like, man, once he said that, I was like, that's me. Like you think like you're inviting these thoughts, and a lot of times I'm not inviting these thoughts. Now, if I start really sitting on these thoughts and really going through them and then letting them explode in my head and start branching out into bigger things, then that's my fault. But the thought that jumps in your head, whether it's from somebody saying something or whether it's from the enemy or saying himself, whatever, throwing them in my head, like I can't control that. But what I can control is how do I harness that thought? And do I dwell on that thought? Or do I just go, okay, that's not true. Let's move on. Or I'm going to get through this.
Yep. That's, me and my psychiatrist say it like pretty much similar, but a different way. We call it jump ropes. So it's like, how long are you going to hold on to the jump rope? You just let it go.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good, man. It's a big part of things, man. It's a big part of life. And I think young people, if they learn that early, it's a good thing. Because if you're trying to learn it late, like I did, it's not fun, man. And I look back and I was like, man, I wish I would have learned that like super early, so I could have really harnessed a lot of anguish or anger or our feelings of being lost or depressed. That would have been a good thing.
Yeah, like I look at it that way too, but also I just try to, since we can't go back in time, I just try to use what I learned and apply it to the next generation. Yeah, that's the best thing we can do.
Yeah, I tell a lot of young people, I said, a wise man learns from his mistake, but a wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. So if you can learn from my mistakes, great. It help you out, and hopefully, guys that speak into my life too, man, that I can learn from their mistakes and help me out in the future.
Definitely. All about learning. That's
it, man. Keep on learning. I know you got to get going. You got a long drive going to Street League. I mean, that sounds like fun, dude. Are you like a kid in a candy store, man? Or when you go with these skaters? I mean, you got to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. Yeah, I might fan out a little bit, but it'll be cool. As long as it's on camera, everybody see the smile, it'll be all right.
Don't get hurt out there, man. You know what I mean? Let's stick to the basics, man. What are your go-to moves out there? What are you gonna pull off? Because I know when you pull up and you might see who you might see. Maybe you might get lucky and see P-Rod out there, man, and then you're gonna say, "Hey, P-Rod, check out this move right here." What are you gonna pull out for him?
Shoot, probably just a kick flip. Warm up on the kick flip, and then maybe varial heel, and then a switch tray.
There we go.
A little something.
You're signed to Jackson, and they got a bunch of skaters on P-Rod, and they got one to me legendary Shaq.
Yeah,
Ryan Sheckler, right? Yeah. He's on there. I mean, do you ever hit him up and say, "Let's skate" or what?
Nah, I haven't hit them up. P-Rod just told me to come to his park the other day. I was like, yeah, bro, I'm there. Let's go.
Let's go, man.
So, yeah, dude, they're cool dudes.
Two legends, man.
Yeah.
I mean, SoCal guys, too, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. It's so wild. It's, like, crazy, dude. Like the kid in me, like, when I meet these skaters, I'm like, dude, like, I used to watch you guys growing up, and I was, like, a teenager, and I'm, like, kicking it with y'all. Like, it trips me out, man. It's so humbling, like. And, like, to see how humble they are, it's like, man, it really does. It does the heart justice,
Yeah. That's dope. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a couple of young IE strikers that are come up, and they're going to one day tell you, hey, Jalin, I watch your fights, man. I'm from Fontana. I'm from the Dino. I'm from Rialto, man. You inspired me. I mean, that's going to be a good thing one day. Somebody's going to tell you that, man. I mean, I'm sure you told Lorenz, watching Lorenz all these years. I mean, he's been fighting forever, man. It still looks great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But one day somebody's going to tell you that, man. That's going to be a good feeling.
Dang.
That's going to be a good feeling, bro.
Yeah, it's going to be a good feeling. I'm also going to feel like I'm old, too. Shoot.
It's going to be some tall, lanky kid, man. It's like, man, I watch all your fights, man. You're going to be like, man, I'm still young. Oh,
I know. I just turned 29. I'm like,
still young, man. Still young. This dude's fighting till late 30s.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
You're going to be good, man.
Yeah. I
appreciate you coming out, man.
Of course. Appreciate you having me on.
Anything you want to shout out?
No.
Nope. No sponsors. I put the Liquid Death. I was worried that I don't know if you had a water sponsor already. So I was like, maybe I should have put that out.
Nah, we're good.
I know you got some solid sponsors and stuff, man. So
yeah,
shout out to Jackson and Monster and everybody else. That's Ruka, man. I'm a big Ruka guy, man. So Pat, I've been trying to get Pat on, man. One day he's gonna come on my podcast, man. I don't know when, but he's gonna get on.
For sure.
Appreciate you coming out, man.
Likewise.
That'll wrap up this episode of the Street Gospel Podcast, man, with Jalin Turner, man. Definitely was a solid podcast. Check him out. We're trying to line him up with a new fight, man. Maybe a rematch, man. That would be dope. But if not, we're going to work on that Max Holloway fight, man. For fun, Max. We love you, Max. He loves you, too. Much respect. It'll be a great fight. You know what I mean? It'll be fight of the night. Appreciate it coming out. Make sure you subscribe. Where can they find you at, man?
The Tarantula on Instagram. Jalin Turner on Twitter, or it's called X now. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I realized we didn't even talk about your love for spiders, man.
Oh, man.
We're going to have to get you on the next one with that.
We'll touch up on that.
All right, man. Check them out, man. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We out.